Good morning. Good morning. I keep saying that, but good evening out there to my Facebook friends, clients, and the like. I'm Jonathan Bangle here tonight, hosting a show, and I'm waiting for my friend Seth to get on here so that we can talk about coffee. That's his specialty. He roasts coffee out of a small town in southern Arizona called Old Bisbee Roasters, and he said he'll join me. So let's see. He may or may not have time for it. He said he would, so we'll find out. But until then, I will buy us some time because I also brought another wonderful guest on my show, and her name is Lois, and she is also a coffee fanatic, and she also is a coach as well. So we're going to talk to them both, and we're going to see how this goes. I've never had a threesome on my show, so this is the first time. So I'm just letting everybody know that, like, seriously, but it might just be a couple. So, there's fun there too. So, all right. So I'm going to bring her on right now. And if Seth joins us, well, that's okay too. All right, here we go. So hello, Coach Lois. Oh, there she is. Love it.
You caught me. You caught me in the middle of pouring my cup. It's never too late, right? Never too late, never too early.
You know what? I'm a nurser of my coffee. Like, I actually nurse my coffee all day long. It's a little bit redonkulous. So Lois, tell us before we go any further, because I want my guests to know who in the hell you are. So who are you? What is it you do? Let my guests know, like, how fabulous you are.
Well, first of all, I'm excited about the threesome. If this is your first time and I get to be a part of it, cheers to that.
Cheers. And you're ginger. I happen to love ginger, so this is even better.
Yay! Awesome.
If Seth gets his butt on here, we'll have 2 gingers.
Wow, that's going to make you a minority. This is great. I love it. So
it happens.
Ultimately, I am a coach. I've been in health and fitness. I've been a business coach. I love sales. That's why that kind of goes with the coffee theme. Coffee is for closers. Have you ever seen Glenn Ross?
No, I haven't. Coffee is for closers. I love that.
Google that. It's very vulgar. Lots of swearing. It's Alec Baldwin back in the day, long before he played the Trump on SNL, and he's raw, and he speaks about sales. And I think I grew up on a farm, was raised by a single dad, and just fell in love as a tomboy. Always, rough and tough, and get down and dirty, and did Ironman triathlons and stuff like that. And so I love a good 80s movie. Just a little bit about my background, and I've done marathons. I've done the Boston Marathon, and that's kind of, I'm an adrenaline junkie. So coffee is kind of
makes sense.
Theme. In fact, my last name, most people misspeak it. It's Kofi, right? But on Facebook, I even play on that. It's Lois Coffee Kofi. So I just love all things, fast, and just really have been out there and very competitive. And through my journey, I've learned a lot, and I'm really passionate about helping people live their highest and best version of themselves. Because I succeeded at a very high level in sales, and then when the recession happened, I lost everything and became homeless and bankrupt and had foreclosures and all of that kind of fun stuff.
Oh my goodness. So you've already gone through, economically, a very similar situation. Do you see any similarities that's what's happening from back then to what's happening now?
Right now, I mean, so many parallels. Yes. I mean, the job layoffs, people freaking out. People having to all of a sudden find out how to make money working from home. People probably, because you're the tax expert, right? People, waiting for that tax refund because like that's going to be the whatever that's going to help them get through the next 30 days. But then, oh shit, now what? People turning to coping mechanisms, and they're not even realizing how much, first of all, the media is feeding their fears and destroying their health. And then, sugar, alcohol, all the different things. I'm concerned for people's mental health, because I went through that myself, having a sugar addiction, coffee, caffeine, and just trying to cope through the recession. I actually ended up having severe depression, anxiety, and suicidal thoughts. And I had friends who committed suicide during the recession. So I kind of going into a serious topic. I'm very concerned about with this being the shelter in. Like, I'm in California. So we technically are not supposed to ever leave our house, and, you know, not being able to see and touch and hug people and be connected to our community. That's why I'm so grateful to be here right now, because the more we can do this and the more we can reach out and ask for help and come together, you know, most of the best businesses, including my own, I resurrected like the phoenix rising from the ashes from the recession, because I learned so much and I found the right mentors and good people to help me get through it. So there's a lot of parallels. I mean, other than, you know, the pandemic itself and the fear of getting sick is very different. There's still a lot of parallels.
Yeah, because in a way, like with the recession, I mean, it was slow and it was coming, and then all of a sudden it was like bam. And in a way, the virus and this outbreak and whatever else is kind of almost, it's more sudden, right? Because people are taking action faster to shut down the economy faster, not because they want to. It's just because of how it is, and we're still like on a forward momentum because we still have back end stuff. And for some people, it's been an overnight change. And for the entrepreneur, what we're doing is we're adapting, and we're like, okay, now shit, like, oh my God, like this show right here, I was doing it inconsistently. I guiltily charged, maybe once every 2-3 weeks. It felt like I have been doing this now almost every single night. And it's my way of connecting to people outside of which is my home office, which I'm still paying rent for a corporate space, but I'm here in my home. So I can relate to that.
That's awesome.
So
that's awesome.
How do we survive this? Like, what's your opinion on how do we rise above this?
Well, first of all, don't be a lone ranger. Like, ask for help. The more we can brainstorm and ideate on how to create new ideas, new money, getting that money flowing, new energy, and even partnering up and collaborating. I think that's what I did during the recession that helped me. First of all, it helped me with my mental health, right? Collaborating with other like-minded people. But then just really sitting down, rolling up our sleeves, even though you were naked, so I had to at least have no sleeves. You know, rolling up our sleeves and
at a minimum,
just digging deep and reaching out and asking, how can I help you, and how can we help each other, coming together, you know, better together. I know it might be a little cheesy, but that's the most important thing. But then still creating structure. It's like my kids, right? I'm all of a sudden a homeschooling mom at the same time as running a business.
Yes. I just thought of something. You know who can make some money right now? Where's my husband? He's in the living room. You know who can make money right now? Listen up, fools. Teachers out there sitting on your couches, eating Doritos and watching Netflix. I'm talking to you. So here's how we make money. We create. Are you ready? I'm about to give a big ass. Here it comes.
I'm ready. Bring it.
Listen up, teach. Listen up, coaches. If you guys put together lesson plans for stay-home parents now to educate their children's, and then charge them for the lessons, guess what? You make a little bit of moo-moo. I'm just saying. Just thought of it right now.
Well, it's funny you should mention that, because, you know, one of the things I created during the recession was I created a college course that I eventually became online. So there's so many different ways to make money in creating exactly that, because teachers, I can only imagine, you know, how I don't know how this is impacting their income. I don't know, but they might as well get paid better than probably do at their jobs by monetizing stuff online, for sure.
I mean, really, it boils down to adaptability. It all boils down to adaptability and our willingness to see this not as adversity, but see this as an opportunity, and move forward in some way, some fashion. I mean, right? This is what it's about. By the way, what kind of coffee is your favorite coffee?
You say that 3 times fast. So this is actually Organo. Have you heard of Organo?
I have not.
So it's ancient Chinese medicine and it's finest. It's a medicinal coffee blend. It's mushroom coffee. It's the most smooth, silky. It's in my humble opinion, and I never want to put down any other companies, but like when someone says, "Is it like Four Sigmatic?" and I'm like, "Oh man, no! It's in a whole another level." It's like someone who drinks Kopi Luwak. You know what that is, right?
Kopi Luwak?
That's the, and I might be saying it wrong. That's the was it monkey poop that people are drinking in their coffee?
Oh my,
Anyway,
oh no. I mean, if I want some poop, I mean, people are going crazy buying toilet paper for God's sakes. I mean, we might as well go around and collect the toilet paper and turn it into coffee. I mean that I don't know about that.
can you see my cup? I have the Bristol poop chart on my mug.
Oh my.
I mean,
that is hilarious.
Stands to reason, though. The more coffee you drink, the more you're gonna probably go.
You're gonna probably go. It's funny you say that. So this morning I was actually here at my desk, and I pulled up an article, and it talks about why we poop in the morning. And I was like, what a fascinating article. So I actually posted it to my wall on Facebook. So if you want to find it, that's where you'll find it. But it, in a nutshell, boom, boom, it actually it was covered. It was a poop in a poop shell. It was talking about how the first 30 minutes when you're awake, or 30 minutes or an hour that you're awake, is the hardest that your intestines work, that squeeze and contract in that first, which is why everyone typically has to go. That's what it was. It's 30 minutes. Within a 30-minute window from the time you wake up, your intestines are squeezing 3 times harder, which totally explains it. So when you drink coffee, it only exacerbates it and happens even faster because, of course, it's constricting. So isn't that interesting? I just found that so fascinating. I was like, oh, interesting. We all have a routine. Now we know why.
What's your favorite coffee?
Oh my gosh. Okay, so I am a certain green white circle logo type coffee person. And they don't pay me royalties. So I ain't saying your name, bitches.
Talk to the hand.
So I find it, because I don't know why it is. I actually enjoy the flavor. I know a lot of people are gonna have pros and cons to the both. But I'll utilize theirs. And then I'm so crazy. So I actually went out and bought me now that I think about it, do you know who I actually use? I use a really big box delivery place that delivers the goods next day delivery. And now they're delivering like a week later because of the virus. Mm-hmm. And they're also known as a rainforest. So I order their coffee also, and I found their flavors to be really good. But I actually like a medium blend. And I bought me a machine called a Jora, or again, remember time, I can't say names of things, but it's a really super duper fancy coffee maker that literally you press the button and it uses filtered water, and I guess it grinds it perfectly. And then oh my God, talk about a new addiction. When you talked about a caffeine addiction, I'm like, I'm a little addicted to this because I keep having espressos, and I'm saving a shit ton of money, because if I'd be buying it from certain places, I'd be spending a lot of money. So the machine's already paid for itself because I do shots like every 2 minutes, it feels like.
That's hilarious.
Oh my God.
No wonder you're so high energy. Now I know your secrets, JB.
Now you know my secrets. Well, the truth of the matter is that I drink coffee from 9 a.m. until about 2:30. And I made an exception for today because of my guests, or coffee guests. But most cases, I usually stop drinking at 2, because as we age, means I stay up later. So, and I need a beauty sleep. Like, I have no wrinkles because I sleep. Okay, so I have to ask you. So you mentioned. So so I know that you do. So you work in the world of coffee, right?
Yes, that's one of my streams of income. I'm like you. I learned from. Well, I shouldn't say like you. From the recession, I learned my lesson. Never just focus on one industry or one stream of income. And I'm sure you teach that to all of your clients as well. I know that I saw you speak and just really love what you do to help people. And so coffee is there's nothing more consumable or residual than an addiction, right?
That's so true. And it's legal.
100%. And most people, they'll call me, I still have residual repeat customers over and over and over again. And they're like, oh my God, Lois, I ran out, where's my coffee?
I need the coffee. Just hook it up to me.
Hopefully no one busts me for this, but I've even had people still in the coronavirus era come to my front door to make sure they got a refill on their coffee. So I've been in the coffee business since 2016, 2015.
Oh, wow. So, yeah. Okay. All right. So we're talking about 4 or 5 years now. Something like that, right? Is it 4 years? 5 years. I don't know. I can't do the math. I'm an accountant. Don't ask me. Okay. So with coffee now, what else do you do? Spill the tea.
Well, part of my journey over the last 20 years is I can sell, jokingly, I can sell ice to an Eskimo. I love sales. I love helping find a need and meeting people with it and serving them, with excellence and giving them a great experience. So I've sold a variety of different things over the last 20 years. I've actually been recruited by companies to help them, sell their products and recruit salespeople and develop those salespeople. So just last year, because of all of that, last year I relaunched and that's how I met you, actually. I relaunched my sales training and professional speaking and coaching business. That's my big project in 2020 is to be able to have a virtual global coaching and then go into, in-house whenever, the pandemic is over. But everything now I do is virtual because of what's going on. But I can do half-day workshops, full-day workshops, help salespeople or sales teams cast the vision for 1, 3, 5, 7, 10 years out, whatever that looks like for them, and help them reverse engineer and take 12-week chunks and keep building, and just really also not compromise their health. I'm really passionate about time management, being the best version of yourselves, and taking care of yourself while you're making unlimited income. So in a nutshell, that's what I do.
Okay. All right. So let me see if I follow you. All right. So essentially, you're like a sales coach.
Yes.
Is that about right? Like a sales coach?
Yes.
So you're taking now. So different sales coaches have different policies in terms of who they'll work with. So like who is the person you want to make love to, baby?
You go, wow, you're like, this is our first time and you're going straight for it. I love it.
Hey, this is what I know about my show. It takes us about 15 to 20 minutes to warm up, just like foreplay, and then we can move into a little bit more. So I want to know who you want to make love to when it comes to that ideal client.
That's a great question. I would say I love corporate sales teams, being able to go either virtually or in-house, do those half-day, full-day workshops with teams of 10 or larger. I don't want to pigeonhole myself, just like you with your tax clients. Like I don't just want to work with, like, for example, real estate sales teams, although I can help them kill it. That would be one niche market, but I really want to get into corporations and do a lot more, really roll up the sleeves and help the masses, again, 10 to 1,000 sales, people in their team, and help them stay motivated, stay encouraged, balance their time, and also, be healthy while they do it and make the company more money. That would be the ideal love match.
Perfect. Well, you said it out loud. And here's what I know about universe. The moment you say it, the moment you make that wish, wishes come true, baby. I mean, they really come true. I got to share something with you. So this is called my magic book. And it's just a journal. And I work with a coach. Her name is Patty. And sister, shout out to you, Patty. And she basically says you should draw yourself, like however you draw. And then I happen to be a journalizer. I've been writing my whole life since I was 14 every day. And, I've got drawings and I've got, verbiage, but let me show you something. So I want you to know that I want to show you something. So this book is magic. and it predicts the future. So what I do is I sit down, and my coach, she taught me how to just grab some markers and just doodle away, and it opens up the channeling of what we envision. It's a fortune teller is what it is. By the way, it turns out my other coach that I have, Sue Frederick, this shout out to you. She told me that I have a natural intuition to work with this stuff. So apparently just doodling unlocks a lot of crazy things, but I want to show you this. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
I drew this picture in early January. So this is before everything is going bonker crazy. Okay. Are you ready? Check it out. It's me in front of a screen looking at a whole bunch of people. Notice I'm in the purple because that's the color of my jacket that I normally wear. And there it is. Your inner being knows and holds vibrations, something else, and raises your something of you. I don't know what. But that's what I drew. And look here, this pandemic happens, and now I'm doing the show practically every day now. I mean, this is, and then by the way, I have a live webinar coming up Friday for just my clients, though. So just for my clients, I have an offer for them, an opportunity for them to come join me to learn about we're calling it the emergent. Now I'm going to probably launch it to the general public, but we're calling it the emergency cash flow formula. And we are going to educate people on how to create immediate cash, like $5,000 or more overnight. So that's something we're going to talk to our clients about, and then we're going to offer it to the general public. So anyway, enough about me. Let's talk about you. All right. So I want to know now, so are you married? Are we single? Like, tell me a little bit about that. Like, I want to know you some more.
Yes. So I met, since we were talking about gingers earlier, the whole saying, once you go black, you don't go back, baby. That was me. I'm a statistic with that. So I met my husband. Actually, I met him 2008 during the recession. So you could say I lost it all for love. I had so much time on my hands. I was like, what the hell? I'll go find me a partner, a husband, or whatever comes out of this. And so I went online dating, and I found the most amazing African-born scientist. He's just so awesome and the perfect partner for me. I think I probably would have never gotten married if I had not met him, because he's just the perfect match. His name is Didier. French. Parlez-vous français?
Yeah, c'est française. C'était très bien. J'ai beaucoup d'amis et de familles qui habitaient en France. Donc, yeah. Do you speak French as well?
No, I'm in the process of just starting to learn. When I started having babies, they killed my brain cells, so I wasn't ready.
So it's true. Okay, so my nephew, gosh, I can't believe I'm about to share this with you guys. So my nephew says to me, Uncle, how rich are you? And I said, well, first of all, rude. And secondly, I think you meant to ask me how successful I am and why. And so he goes, well, how successful and why? And so I said, because I avoided baby disease. So here you are saying that they killed your brain cells. That's terrible. True. That's just terrible.
Although I have the most beautiful mocha babies, you know, half white, half black. They're pretty damn gorgeous. So anyway, no, it was perfect. And if you ever want my husband to come on here and you guys could speak French the whole time, that would be really awesome. And I'll make sure he's shirtless too. And
yes, there you go. Well, I try not to show nips. I mean, that's going to come one day. I mean, I do have a bit of cleavage. So let's see. Do we have a little bit of cleavage? So I can't be showing my nips. I have a little bit of cleavage, you know. Oh my gosh. Okay.
So yes, married, living in Southern California, life is good. And, you know, we both work from home. So we're all about the laptop lifestyle and want to travel the world. And we want to hang out in France. You know, unfortunately not right now, but that was on our radar for 2020. And that's still our plan, is to go and travel and be overseas and hang out with a lot of his family. We have a global family. And so that's awesome. Part of our vision. And we want to work with more people like that too. Yeah. You know, so that's our part of our goals.
Now, so you mentioned, let's come back to the sales coach. So, you know, as you know, I've been in this venture now for about 10 months, 11 months in this community. I call it the marketing sales community. But for those of us that are shy, that are timid, or we're like, how the hell, what? do you have like your own tip that you would be willing to share, and just the tip that you'd be willing to share to kind of help position us to maybe close a deal, or how do we approach a sales or anything like that? I want your knowledge, darling.
Yeah. Well, first of all, it's not one size fits all. So I couldn't give you like one tip. It's really I have a part of I call it the Kofi sales formula, and it can work for introverts. It can work for extroverts. It can work for people online. It can work for people offline. But it's how many touches you can make with that one lead or that one contact, and it's got to be systematic, and it's got to be done over a 4 to 8 week period, and making sure you have a system of what each and every single touch will create for that person, that item of value, that reason why they want to, fall in love with you. And so everyone's different on what that looks like. But I can almost guarantee, because there's no guarantees in life except for death and taxes. Which is why you do what you do. But I can almost guarantee an 80% to 90% close ratio if they follow that compressed time frame of, I call it the 8x8 touch system. So 8 touches over 8 weeks, or it could be compressed down to 4 weeks for someone who really wants to, close the deal faster. So it's the mindset. It's the mindset, that inner game and being able to execute on the outer game. That's the most critical component, and you can't have one without the other.
Now, when did you get involved in, like, when did you realize, like, I really want to play in sales, and this is what I do, and then go from sales and then the teaching. So, like, what's the story there?
For me, it was almost automatic. I say that humbly, because when I was a kid, I didn't realize it was sales, because I was just having fun selling. Whatever the school fundraiser was, I was always at the top. I always was the number one sales achiever, whatever it was, no matter what it was, whether it was dish rags or pizza or chocolate, right?
Yeah. Yep.
So it was fun for me, number one. And when I got into sales at 22 in real estate, it was all about, well, this is easy. This is just relationships and helping people. I can do this. And I quickly made 6 figures working part-time in real estate, and eventually figured out, oh, I like making money too. So I quickly rose in the ranks of my office, and they said, Lois, you know what you're doing. You should teach some of our agents to do what you're doing. So I was like, okay, sure. And it was through that process that I just fell in love with teaching, and speaking and being in front of the room and inspiring and educating and equipping the salespeople, which in this case was our real estate brokerage office. And then I started recruiting real estate agents to my team and training them in the sales process. And it was just so much fun. I fell in love with it. And then it was through that process of the recession that I was going to relaunch launch for the first time my speaking and sales training career. And then, you know what, I went off, became a mom instead. And the cool thing was, though, here's what I love, and this is probably another target market or unique value proposition. I'm so grateful that I did, I focused on motherhood. I still had sales. I still had other businesses, and I was recruited to sell other people's products during that period of time. But by becoming a mom and a wife, or, marriage isn't for everyone, it doesn't matter, but I still had this partnership and had to figure a lot out, together. And so I love working with people who are in their 40s, 50s, or even in their 30s. If they have families, they're juggling a lot. And there's a lot of stress. There's a lot of pressure to pay the bills and all that kind of stuff. So I've been through it all. I've been through health challenges and things of that nature. So I do have compassion and empathy on helping people find work-life balance. May not really be a thing, but finding whatever that counterbalance is for them. So I say that all to say I wrapped up all of that 20 plus years of experience and life. And now, I'm going full bore with it, with my own brand. Instead of, helping other companies make millions, I'm creating my own. And of course, having your help along the way. Cheers.
Cheers for that. I mean, it's absolutely true. It's funny because you're talking about by the way, I just want to tell everybody real quick because I'm distracted, but my friend Seth is here, so he's in the waiting room. So we'll invite him in for the threesome in just a second. But I want to comment on what you're saying, and that is that sales is one component to business ownership. And the reality is you can be an amazing salesperson, but behind these scenes, we also have to be amazing CEOs. And the reality is you're a CEO and I'm a CEO. And I did a live broadcast last night at 8:15 p.m., I think it was. And I'm like, guess what? I'm working on my own business because I've been working on everybody else's all day long. So it's part of what we do because we need to. But sales, I understand it now. Sales is critical. So with that being said, I'm going to invite Seth into the room and we'll meet him. I think you both will love each other. I got two gingers now. Hey.
Hey,
Hi, Seth.
Gingers. All right. Well,
welcome to my show.
Thank you so much. Thank you for inviting me in, Jonathan. I feel special.
Yeah, thank you so much. I'm glad that you're able to join us. And it was a really great point because we had just met Coach Lois. Oh, before I forget, because I want to give Coach Lois her due diligence here. How do we get in contact with you?
Yes, you can have my phone number. No booty calls, but it's 612-708-5480 is a great way to reach me. And if you want to stalk me, my website is www.loiscoffey.com. I love LinkedIn. I love connecting with people on there as well. But yeah, come and connect with me. I give free coaching sessions, or if you just want to chit chat about life and your most recent challenges, especially in light of the pandemic, I love to meet people where they're at and offer up some encouragement.
That's fantastic. Well, you're more than welcome. Please stay, because we might banter the three of us. You don't know. I mean, it's kind of like having a threesome when the two of you are kind of at it and then you bring in the stranger and then you kind of all kind of go to the stranger, right? This is kind of what happens in threesomes. And then eventually you all kind of create a nice threesome action out of it. So with that in mind, I'm going to shift down here over to good old Seth. So,
Jonathan.
Oh my God.
Hey,
okay.
Not only are you not wearing pants, you're not even wearing a shirt. I love it.
I am totally like trying to figure out how to take this off. Okay, there we go. Like everything else. Let's see. Ta-da. Okay. Yeah, I am. Well, hey, it's called Naked Tax Talk. So I don't wear any clothes. It's just part of the deal. Okay. So hell yeah. So Seth, I want to tell the world about you for a moment because I know everything about you, but do you want to do it? I've known Seth since 2004 when I gave birth to my company, my first company, JB Financial. And Seth was my very, very first corporate client. And I worked with him behind the scenes, and I'll let him tell the rest of the story. But Seth, introduce yourself. Who are you? Who's your company? And all that fun stuff.
Okay, let's try this for the first time.
Woohoo!
I am Old Bisbee Roasters. I'm a mail order coffee company. And so coffee's fascinating. This is what I brought home tonight for us to drink in the morning. I've been a buyer in the coffee market for 20 years and 22, 25, if you go all the way back to my early Usenet days, where I was a home roaster with an FAQ. The home roasting FAQ was my best piece of work at the time. I met a coffee grower, and once you taste really quality coffee that someone cares about, everything else is just uninteresting. How's my audio, Jonathan? Are we good?
You're fine. You're maybe it's a little bit of video lag. I don't know if it's on my end, but otherwise you're fine.
Am I loud enough?
Yeah. Oh yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, great. All right, that's all right. So basically, I was a network engineer in the early 90s, and I fixed Commodore computers and for a living, and network solutions for small businesses. At the time, you were much better off if you used a piece of paper and a pen, usually, than a computer. And so after everything crashed and failed and people's businesses burned to the ground, they would call me and ask me to come in and do the triage. And so
Mm.
it was all about teaching people to back up. But that was my network life. And then I lived in a small peach orchard with my daughter and her mother, and we were raising kids and goats and chickens and doing the thing. My background's in sustainable agriculture. I was trained by Bill Mollison to be
Mm.
invested in sustainable permanent agriculture, which Bill called permaculture. He coined the phrase, wrote a book. He's from Australia. And so that was born along with the internet. And when my friend walked into the cabin and said, I've been growing coffee in Mexico for 5 years, I did what any self-respecting young hippie would do. I would buy 20 pounds of coffee from my friend, sell 18 on Usenet news groups, and get my 2 for free. It was simple.
Wow.
And the way we did that was with the coffee roasting FAQ, how coffee roasts in a frying pan, a popcorn pop, your own thing. It was take 2 pounds, jump on the motorcycle, go interstate, and meet people and make shots of espresso out of one of those little Italian mocha pots. And, it was just kind of like a homegrown business. So now it's 20 years later. I've been in Bisbee here for 20 years. I walked into a small shop that had a home roasting setup for a cafe built by an electrical engineer from Raytheon. And so to me, that was the most amazing thing I'd ever seen. He told me on his way out, he said, don't let anybody near this thing. It'll kill him. And I thought, that's me. I'm in. I'm going to roast guys. So I was able to produce 3 pounds of coffee. I love it. I hear dogs barking.
That's my dogs, yes.
3 pounds of coffee every 20 minutes. It took an hour to fill a bucket of 10 pounds. And I thought this was the most amazing operation of a lifetime. I was in heaven. And so basically, you had to stretch electrical coils across the room. You had to wrap them around resistors. You had to slide ceramic sleeves and glass tubes. And the whole thing pivoted on a gimbal that was made to test rocket engines up at Raytheon in Tucson. And he built it from spare parts from his lab. And lab equipment that's where I live. So that's how I started. And now I roast about a ton, about 2,000 pounds of coffee a week for my mail order clientele. And that's kind of like the saving grace of so many people who are, what do they call it? Living at home. We're living at home now. We're working
or something like
self-quarantining. Yeah. I still haven't got the terminology down.
Me neither. Don't worry.
It's a brand new world, and coffee's a part of it. So I actually, one of the most fun stories. Have we got a few minutes? Can I tell?
We got time. We got time.
Okay.
Go for it.
So here's how things work in Bisbee, where I live, in a small town. It's an art community. So here's how things work. I walked into the shop that is today my roasting shop about 20 years ago. The people who owned the cafe needed coffee. Peter Drake had just left to go back to Raytheon, and they handed me the phone and they said, you've got to talk to somebody. The dirty little secret here in a tiny town is they'd put their cafe, they'd finance their cafe on credit cards. They said, we're $160,000 in debt, and we have Greek plates, poetry readings. It's one little
Bisbee.
computer for the internet, but nobody knows this, but we don't have any money coming in. People sit here all day for $5 and that's our love. So we have no coffee and we have no money to pay for it. And we were just told we need coffee up front to put coffee in the roaster that Peter Drake left behind. And they handed me the phone. Now, my friend from Mexico had just come back to the States. So I had just lost my connection to coffee. And they dialed a number, handed me the phone, and the guy who answered the phone was at Royal Coffee. And I told him, I said, I need you, because you're in a warehouse, to pick the coffee my customers will drink. I had 300 mail order customers online, and I had no idea what to do next. And I said, look, I've got customers but I've never been in a coffee warehouse. I've never bought coffee from anyone but a personal friend who grows it in Mexico. So I want the best coffee, and I don't care where it comes from. But when it's gone, don't sell me the next one on the shelf. I don't want the hat next to the Stetsons. Take me somewhere completely different. Just start my education now, and we'll see how it goes. And so he said, look, I'm going to send you 3 sacks of Costa Rican Monte Crisol, and I'm going to invoice you 30, 60, 90. And all the hair stood up on the back of my neck. And I said, Alex, I actually remembered his name. Really difficult for me. I'm challenged. I said, Alex, you told the people who own this business they need cash up front. What has changed? And I thought, well, there I go. Just cut my own throat. That's it. It's over. And he laughed out loud and he said, those guys, they don't know what they're doing. You'll be fine. We'll talk soon. Well, it turns out 10 years later, I found out that Alex Mason he's the man in the middle of every trade that Royal Coffee makes. Now, Royal Coffee is a giant warehouse in Oakland, California. Their offices are in right in Emeryville, looking at the Bay Bridge. It's a tiny round building in the middle of the marina. When I walked up into this building, there were boats floating around. You got these giant glass windows. There's 7 desks in a circle.
Oh my God.
Beach umbrellas and desks. And he's like, hey, everybody, this is Seth from Quarter Moon. Little did I know, they're in the business of developing relationships between tiny, tiny producers. If you can fill a container, you need 200 farmers to fill a container, and
Dang.
tiny roasters. So this was a family business. And these guys, they took me in as someone who was on their short list of up and coming. And so 10 years later, when I met Alex, he said, look, how come you get to talk to me? I said, what do you mean? He takes me to his office. It's a room filled with tiny cubby holes and these paper bags with little numbers stuck on the bottom. And he said, look, every paper bag in this room corresponds to a container that's afloat from a producer who has sent a pre-shipped sample to Royal Coffee. And based on the quality of that sample, they've made a deal with me, Alex Mason, for the sale of that coffee. Now, I've been trained to buy futures from Alex. And so what that means is that is a contract to buy a product which hasn't landed in San Francisco yet. So he says, look, I'm the man in the middle of every trade Royal makes. I cup the coffee. When a producer wants to sell to Royal, i.e. they want to sell to somebody like me, they send a sample and we cup it and they make a deal. When the market, this is cool for you because you're a money guy. When the market, I buy when the price is low, and the producer, the guy who spent all year growing his coffee, wants to sell when the price is high. So
Right.
Alex is the guy in the middle. The market requires a contract. And if the coffee's tasty, then the producer calls Alex when the price, he's got to pick a day. You got to lock it in. So on a day when the market's really high and they can request a good premium, the producer contacts Alex and says, today is the day, let's make the contract. And based on the quality of that pre-ship sample, he signs a contract verbally that he sells the following morning into the market in New York City. And then he holds that contract until a guy like me calls him and says, Alex, I noticed the price of coffee is really low and I want to buy that. And so I buy that contract at my price. The producer sells the contract at his price, and everybody who's playing the stock market is
you're playing with coffee beans.
So here's the deal. You'd think that that the price of coffee is set by who needs it and who grows it. Not so. I only need 700 sacks of coffee a year, and the producer, a guy in a field, can grow about 2 sacks of coffee in the course of a year. Every producer sells his coffee to the mill puts it together. They've got to make enough sacks to fill a container, seal it hermetically, deliver it to the dock where Royal picks it up. And so the money driving this is the market. So
Wow.
I know I need my sacks. The producer's grown his 2 bags, but the stock market is willing to risk winning or losing. And so the market goes up and down every day. I get my 2 bags as promised for the price I promised to pay months in advance. And the grower sells his coffee at the price he was willing to accept months in advance.
Wow.
It's bizarre, Jonathan. And the 70 cents on the dollar of that, if you go into the stock market today and you buy a commodities contract, 70 cents on the dollar is money trying to make a profit. 30 cents is the actual producer selling and the roaster buying. And so Alex looked at me and he said, "How come you get to talk to me? This is the guy who trained me to do all of this." And I said, "You answered the phone." And he laughed out loud and he said, "You will always be able to talk to me for the rest of your career until I retire. And every month I call Alex and I say, 'What's good?' And he tells me what he's sipping, what he's cupping that day. And I listen, I close my eyes with a clipboard and he says, 'Nope, don't do it. Just wait. I've got more coming. Only buy what you need.'" He protects me from making, from projecting my needs beyond last year's sales. And he says, "Only get what you need." And then all of a sudden he's like, nope, not that one. "Oh, let me tell you about this. I just cupped this coffee. You know these producers. You've been buying from them for years. The coffee's fantastic. And here's your price." And I make a little note. 45 minutes later, he's ready to hang up the phone. So that's it. That's all I got. And I'm like, "Alex, wait. Let me tell you what I want." And I just buy up my notes and I'll spend $40,000, $60,000, $80,000, $120,000. And it took me 45 minutes to hear what he's got to say. And I hang up the phone and I sleep like a baby. I just bought the best coffee in the market that day.
Wow.
And the next time we talk a month later, none of those offers are available. Everything's changed. Not only the coffee that's coming into San Francisco has changed, but the market price itself has moved on and we're in a different world. And so I've become quite comfortable with that.
Now, how has the coffee industry, I mean, I know this outbreak, this pandemic is still making its way and we're still in the infancy of it, but has this had an impact on business?
It's so early, Jonathan. I like to predict. I'm the kind of guy who looks over the horizon at the future. And how do I feel? Today, I'm selling coffee like I sell it in December. We're roasting and shipping coffee day and night. My wholesale contracts, everybody has come in. Whole Foods is buying. My local stores are buying. Everybody's stocking their shelves. And my mail order, I sell a 2-pound package for $28. If you subscribe to my text service, you can get
what's your text?
Deal. My text service is amazing. And I just built it in the last 2 or 3 months. So talk about an opportunity. The number is 29071. If you text 29071, the keyword is today. You get a 10% discount coupon, and every week I show you the newest coffee in the shop. I open 1 pallet a week. We go through that pallet in 7 days. I've got enough to offer that pallet for this week's special and next week. So you get 2 pounds, this week's special and last week's. That's a real 16-ounce pound, 2 of them delivered, postage included, for $28. And that's it. You're done. 2 clicks on your phone. You're in, you're out. That's my deal for my long customers. The people who've been with me for years, Jonathan, they wait to see what's up. It's funny, but if you buy a little coffee from me, I suggest you go back to the grocery store, go back to your commercial shelf, go to your local cafe, drink whatever you used to drink, and tell me how it works for you. I'm producing coffee for people who found me. And once you found me, you're buying small family farm coffee from my family business. And I'm a foodie. I'm a shopper. I want this because I drink it. And we produce about 100 orders per day. And that's
Wow.
it. Yeah, my
Wow.
shop is 5 people who work really hard, and they're all salaried, and they've got a 4, 5, 6 hour workday, and
Love it.
they're gone. I'm the only one who works 24 hours a day here. Anyway, the coffee's good, right? Because of the experience I have in the market, I'm confident in buying the quantity I need to service about 2,000 or 3,000 families.
Wow.
And that's it. It's
Wow.
like 2,000 orders a month. That's our workload. So it's a very small operation, but it's also personal. And if you buy coffee, you're buying from people who grew it. This is a hands-on operation. There's nothing more labor intensive than growing coffee. And once they sell it to the American market, they just laugh. They say, well, the Americans forget all about us. If you buy a pound of coffee and flip the bag over, you'll see who grew it, where it comes from, the benefit to the community. This label is retired when the coffee is consumed. It takes us 2 weeks or less, sometimes 10 days or less, to finish a purchase. And then that's it. Next time, next coffee. It's a whole nother vintage. It's like wine. It's like a very small operation in every sense. So let me describe. I know I'm monopolizing your time here, but I'm going to tell you about coffee.
I was about to move into that question, so this is a perfect segue. Because Mike, well, what you're about to say, can you do me a favor? Because I promised one of my viewers that you would talk about how to make a badass cup of coffee with your coffee while we're quarantined. So just keep that in mind as you tell us about coffee. So.
All right, I've got espresso equipment in my kitchen, but let's talk about how to make a cup of coffee yet, because everyone makes their coffee at home to their own taste with their own recipe. But let's talk about what makes a coffee. Yeah. And then how you do it at home. That's a whole nother conversation. Let's talk about what makes a cool cup of coffee. If you understand this, then you understand the difficulty involved. So here's what happens. Here's what really happens. You only get a pound of coffee from a tree. Now, you can only grow a tree so long before you have to prune it to 24 inches from the ground. Every person who is doing this has an incredible investment. These are people with multi-generational pride in producing coffee for the market, which gives them cash because they're subsistence farmers in almost every situation. So here's what happens. Everyone I've ever met who grows coffee, Jonathan, is a little old man whose kids, if he can get them to college, if he can get them off the farm, if he can get them to the city for a life of, income, they'll do it. But you meet this little old man, and their home is like the 1950s Sears house that came on a truck. They're making dinner in their garage. It's like a little pole building. It says, "Oh, I was born in that little pole building, but now I own a home." Right. So here's what happens. It takes about 2 acres, about 3.5 hectares, to have enough room for your garden, your subsistence crops, your farm, your garden, orchids, whatever, and 400 trees. Okay, so you got a shady lot with 400 trees.
400 trees. Wow.
300 of them are ready to produce 100 of them every 4 years. You got to cut them down to the ground, 24 inches from the ground, because coffee only grows on second-year wood. It's just like a fruit tree. So you prune it hard, and then it grows back, and you can reach the branches that have the fruit. Why? Because coffee is a strange plant. Not only is it susceptible to freezing, it's very difficult to grow. You've got to pick the ripe coffee from the green beans. It flowers, ripens, all at the same time. Like everything you're accustomed to and I'm accustomed to, regular, like what we think of as farm crops, they bloom, flower, and harvest. It's all simple. Coffee's not like that. The flowers the green cherries and the ripe cherries are all mixed together on a branch. So anytime you look at a picture of coffee, I wish I had one here I could put up on the screen, you'll see a flower, some green beans, and some ripe beans. Somebody's got to reach in there and separate them and only pick the ripe red cherry and leave the green one. So now you're going to pick it 3 times. A quarter of your trees are cut down. 3/4 of your trees are blooming, ripening, and ready to pick at the same time. So now you've got to reach in there 3 or 4 times. You're only going to get 1 pound total for the whole year from one tree on a good year. And your goal is on a good year to harvest 300 pounds. That's 2 coffee sacks.
Wow.
To make $300. Now, in my shop, we make $300 from 1 sack of coffee. Now, that coffee goes to a mill, and the reason it's at the mill is so, sorry about that. The reason it's at the mill is so that you can rest, you can dry it, you can clean it. It's got the fruit has to be removed from the seed, and then the seed is dried and graded so they're all the same size, so they roast evenly, and that has to be rested so the moisture is stable, and that is picked. Oh, good job. That is once it's rested, it can be put in a sack and placed in a container. Now you need 250 sacks to be hermetically sealed in that container. Royal Coffee picks the container up and moves it around the world so that it gets to San Francisco. And that company, the coffee's picked up and shipped in a semi truck to my shop. So much work. And that man who grew 2 sacks of coffee all year to make $300, his coffee's sitting in my shop for 10 days, and we're going to sell 2 sacks before lunchtime.
Wow. Two sacks before lunchtime. I mean, I'm
literally buying 700 sacks a year to satisfy my small clientele, which are drinking about 100 pounds a day or 200 pounds a day. In this case, right now, it's a little unusual. It's kind of Christmas levels. We're going through 2,000 pounds a week, but that's only going to continue for this week, last week. Next week will be radically different. I understand there's a lot of people losing their jobs, and so we'll feel this just like every other business on Main Street. It's just delayed. So anyway, my suggestion is sign up for the text service. It is the biggest discount I give to my customers every single time they order, because these people mean the world to me. And it's 29071. Text the word today, and I'll send you once a week an offer for the newest coffee in the shop. They're real pounds. I'm old fashioned. This is a real pound of coffee. What I do is 2 this week's pound and last week's for $28 delivered, and that's priority mail anywhere in the country. So my job is to roast the coffee to taste, and I'm a foodie. I like to taste things, and we'll put it in the mail, priority mail, while it's
that's
still
$14.
warm.
That's $14 for 2, right?
$14 a pound.
A pound, and you're
delivered, and you're going to get it. If you're in state, you're going to get it 1 day out of the roaster, and if you're anywhere in the United States, it's 2 days out of the roaster. There is no shelf time. It is absolutely a fresh bakery product. I like to think of my place as a bakery, just in time, baked and shipped. And that's the best you can do. If you're into coffee, give it a try.
My goodness. I mean, that's fantastic. And then, Seth, out of curiosity. So, I mean, because I remember when you were like in the same shop, I would imagine. And I remember you had a Kalunkity type of roaster, and then you ended up investing in another one. And I remember you were positioning all your employees, and you were like, I want to make sure I give them the best. And you were selling it in the alley. So those of you who know or do not know, but in Bisbee, Arizona, there's an alley that exists. This is where you'll find Seth and his crew selling. I'm going to call you a legal drug dealer.
Absolutely.
You
this
know
is
what
the
I
best
mean?
drugs. This is taking advantage of one of the most amazing drug substances on the entire planet. We all use it. It's a matter of whether you want it to taste good or you just want to drown it in milk and sugar.
Milk. Oh, that's interesting you say that.
Yeah.
Drown in milk and sugar.
You can
And
take bad coffee and make it taste good with milk and sugar, and you have no interest in what you're drinking. The coffee is buried in sugar is another drug. So now
that's
you're
true too.
stacking.
Now we're
You're
now we're
stacking your
just now,
drugs.
now we're stacking. You know what's funny is I was thinking about coffee, and I happen to be I'm drinking a glass right now, and what brings back memories. So I'm going to share my first memory, and then I want you to share yours. But I remember my memory of coffee was as a young boy, and my aunts would come over, and they would meet with my mom, and then they would always brew coffee all the time. Get us cafe, get us cafe. You know, it was the thing. And they'd get around the kitchen table, and they would drink their cups of coffee, and they'd gossip and stuff. Which is how I learned how to speak Spanish, by the way, because I was curious to know. Like, I just picked up like what they were saying, even though my mom didn't necessarily talk to me per se, right? So, and I mean, not that she didn't, just, you know what I mean. Anyways, so what is your earliest memory of coffee? Yeah.
Honestly, I never can. Okay. My earliest memory of coffee was sitting around a campfire. Now, I didn't just go sit around a campfire. When I was young, I left home. I left school. I dropped out, and I wasn't able to finish my education. So I took to the road and became a completely wild redhead renegade. And I was wandering around. Coffee was something that you spared change, and you got some 75 cents, and you went into a cafe where you sat all night with your 1 cup of coffee, milk and sugar, just trying to stay warm. I was very young when I dropped out. I was a real dropout. And back then dropping out was fun. And so,
and now you're a multi-7-figure earner. I'm sure of it. You know, at least
coffee was like where you went to stay warm, and that's my first memory of coffee.
You know what? And that
Dunkin'
probably explains
Donuts.
why you care about your. But see, that experience probably explains why we care about, like, you care about your clients so much.
I give coffee away every day here in Bisbee. I have a free cafe where every single person who walks up to my table is welcome to drink coffee for free. I have never sold a cup of coffee in my life, and all I sell are pounds to go.
Love it. I love it. And your product's amazing.
Why.
I know.
I think that's why. I think there's really a story there. There really is. Yeah.
You know, this is what I do, Seth. This is actually what I do is I talk about, like, our every single one of us as entrepreneurs, we have a story really about why we do the things that we do. And for a lot of my business clients, it's because we're working with them to find out, like, why is it that we are reacting the way we're reacting, especially when it comes to our taxes? Or why do we continue to overpay and underdeduct? It all boils down to very fundamental things that happens in our lives that brings up issues. And then we don't know because we're just like autopilot. We're just like, just go. And all of a sudden one realizes and goes, I wonder why that is the case. And when we take a little bit of time in our lives to evaluate it, then we start to get to answers. And I just throw those out there because that might very well be the story. In fact, I think that's a great story. I see you, by the way, writing a little book about that story of going back to comfort. Like, that was your first journey with coffee is comfort, and brings you joy. It brings you a sense of closeness. It brings you a sense of, well, it's what it is, comfort, security. And that has translated into the way you do business. Because I'm telling you, when I met you, your goal, when I became your accountant, your goal was to make sure that your employees were taken care of with the utmost top-notch. I mean, you did this. And then on top of that, your care for your client is just as important. Because for you, I remember it was like, I want to make sure, Jonathan, that I get this in the mail. I want it there next day. I want to make sure that the product is fresh as fresh can be. Like, I want my client to have the best experience. And I bet you it came from that time when you had your first cup of coffee.
Well, it certainly came from knowing that the people around me are the people that care for me and I care for them. I mean, like my employees are my family. These guys,
Yes.
this is why today I'm on like day 8 or 9 of my quarantine, because I've been shaking 200 hands a day
Shit.
for so many years. You could never stop me from going out into the street and serving 200 free espressos a day until it was a matter of life and death. And so literally when my employees said, excuse me, would you please stop? Then it wasn't a matter of hand washing and
Yes.
Perel. It was a matter of I've been asked to stop. And so now I'm working from home, which is why the podcast is this live cast podcast.
Yeah, we're in
I just put this together. So this is literally my first week on camera, simply because I'm no longer allowed. I've been asked to stop. It's a matter of life and death. And I think that every one of us needs. What happened here?
Don't know what you did.
Just don't know. Okay. Every one of us has a responsibility to others. And mine has always been care and feeding. I'm a huge foodie. And if you want to pay people to go feed themselves, it's still care and feeding. It's just a matter of understanding your responsibility has shifted from I'd like to shake as many hands as possible to I'm in quarantine. How many of us are safe? How many of us are healthy? And how many of us need care? And let's stop the transmission of something that seems to be incredibly
scaryishly dangerous.
No, well, scary. Let's not talk scary now, Jonathan.
Well, all right, we won't promote that.
We're innovating. We're creating. We're
true.
Creators. We're artists. We're people. We are flexible. Yes. It's not scary. It's because, the minute you stop producing and creating, you leave that empty space open. If you want to fill it with fear, it's very hard to get back to being a creative entrepreneurial spirit. I say we're just flexing our muscles. We're becoming more creative than ever before with the tools that we're familiar with. I have a lot of cameras around the shop. I just never live casted. I never had to stay home. So now I'm living at home, and we're going to share what we do differently instead of with contact, with physical contact. We're going to do with emotional, mental contact.
It's funny you say that because for my clients, and just for my clients, we're having a webinar on Friday that we're have an opportunity for them. And we are actually, so it's called the emergency cash flow formula. And what we're going to do is overnight, teach them how to free $5,000 up overnight to give them some immediate cash. And this is just by some techniques that I'm aware of. And so then, of course, I will then maybe offer this out to the general public. But until then, I'm giving it to my clients first, because that's what happens when they work with me. I only work, Seth, I only have 23 clients I work with on a monthly basis. It's very elite. It's very boutique. And as a result of that, I'm trying to give this first in the forefront, like right away, like here's the upcoming changes. This is how we're going to save ourselves. This is how we're going to create cash, because cash, as you know, is what keeps us afloat. And like you said, it's not, I said scared, didn't really mean to say it that way. But what I really meant is the fact that it's about how do we shift and change and morph into this while it is happening in real time. And the reality is that you and I were positioned perfectly because everyone needs coffee and everyone needs a tax consultant, so there's that. But the truth is that now it's maybe, okay, so what? So I'm a tax specialist and you're a coffee specialist. How do we adjust? Because maybe the type of person you're selling coffee to will change the client, right? Based on what's happening. Just like with me, with tax consulting will change based on what's happening here. Like our target audience is kind of moving a little bit based on how this is changing out. And most business owners really need to be prepared to adjust the target, whether it's with the audience, whether it's the product, whether it's diversifying. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. So,
well, we absolutely need each other. And that's it. No matter what business you're in, you're not in business alone. You're in business
No.
with your customers. We need
Yes.
each other. And so our products are changing radically to adjust to the environment that we find ourselves in. I am so encouraged, Jonathan, by the fact that people are taking this seriously. That means so many people will be safer than if
Yes.
we were just going out and bumping booty in every bar and grill. Everything's closed because we're protecting those of us who are vulnerable.
Yes.
Meanwhile, those of us who are entrepreneurial are producing products to
Yes.
satisfy the needs of those people who now have a new environment. They're staying home. They're working from home. Look, Jonathan, great observation. I needed paper bags to put coffee in.
Mm.
I made a phone call. A woman answered the phone. Another woman, my salesperson, answered her phone. Guess what? They're all at home. The PBX is ringing at home. And those paper bags traveled from Washington State to Bisbee in record time because the streets are clear. Now I needed coffee to fill those bags, and I called San Francisco and I talked to a receptionist who was at home, but you couldn't tell because there was music in the background, the whole thing, PBX. And she connected me to my importer, Alex Mason at Royal Coffee, who was at home. He's only allowed into the facility, into the workplace 1 day a week. Why? To protect he is intellectual property himself.
Wow.
To protect his well-being, his health, and his family. I'm working from home. We're all working from home. But what we're doing is we have the tools to be connected in a safe and secure manner. And now my customers are receiving coffee that is from their mailbox. So all of us are safe, but the tools are here. The customers are here. Your business and my business are serving people. We're serving each other. And the methods by which we do our best work are just a little bit more specifically safe for these times. We're still the property. We are the intellect. We are we're the process.
Yes.
The process is in place. We're all here. We're all doing our job. It's where we do our job that's changed in order to give us that social distancing. And so I'm so encouraged because I really believe I have seen in 2 weeks enough social distancing to radically change the results. We are going to, no matter who is unfortunate enough to catch this lung disease, we have radically changed the landscape here in this country to give ourselves distance. What you see today is what you know is happened 14 days ago. We're all 14 days. Our knowledge is 14 days late.
Wow.
Nobody's getting the test until they're sick. No test is recovered until it goes to the lab and comes back. You've got to be sick enough to go to the doctor. The doctor's got to witness your illness and put you in the hospital. The hospital turns around and takes the test. The test comes back from the lab. We're 14 days out from what's happening in the street, but I sense that this is a highly contagious situation. And the best thing we can do is to get farther apart. And we're doing it, and we're still producing results. I can put coffee in your mailbox. You can put tax results in a person's W form.
Yep.
We're doing this very well.
We really are. And on some level, I'm so happy that many of us are taking this serious, beyond and truly going. I did. I'm not waiting for the government to say, "Hey, you got to stay home."
We have a great example of what happens when you don't pay the proper respect, and that's Italy.
Yeah,
800
that's absolutely right.
people dying a day.
That's it. Yeah, that's pretty scary.
In a tiny country. Yeah. So here's to you.
Here's to you, Seth. Thank you so much Thank you for being my guest here on Naked Tax Talk. Hey, listen out there. This was probably the longest broadcast I've ever had. I mean, normally we do about 45 minutes, but I had to have Seth here on my program.
Sorry.
If you're an entrepreneur, don't apologize. If you, my friends out there, are curious to know how you can get the best coffee ever, and you heard his explanation. It's coming from a homegrown place. It's coming from a place that he is supporting. He's all about being a co-op. He's all about making sure the environment is being protected. He's all about making sure that we're all going to benefit in the end. Text the word today to 29071. That's Seth's application, his text app that hooks you up with him. You have a direct IV of the caffeine straight to Seth here, who's going to hook you guys up. He's going to provide you with 2 pounds of special roasted coffee, 16 ounces. That's 2 pounds, basically.
Oh, look at you.
That is delivered, people, delivered, no matter where you live in this world, delivered to you. Yep. And here's the beautiful thing about it. It's just $28. It's $14 a pound. I mean, delivered. So it's still a great deal.
Can I plug my website so these folks can find my videos? Yes. They can find my cupping reviews. We serve over 50 farms a year, and you'll only see the 6 coffees in my physical possession the moment you go to the web. Every morning this is what we're roasting. But if you want to get a feel for what you're texting for, the text service delivers a $6 coupon on every order. But let me plug my website just so your customers know where to find me, so they can
please
check it out and email me and get some background. It's oldbisbeeroasters.com.
Oops, I gotta edit this because I'm also being like the host, like the whatchamacallit.
You're doing very well
or something.
What are you?
All right, so here we go. oldbisbeeroasters.com. Check out his goods.
Yes.
He's starting to take a peek at his goods, and he's going to deliver this product to you. I mean,
honestly, as much time as we all have working from home now, like the commute is over. So if you go to any product review, any coffee online, and follow it back to my YouTube channel, you will laugh your ass off. I can't help it. Sometimes I binge watch my old stuff just to see if I need to redo it. And honestly, Jonathan, this town is so much fun. There's so many crazy artists here, and there's so much material to enjoy on my YouTube channel. And that is just follow a product review back to my YouTube channel, which is Old Bisbee Roasters, youtube.com, and search for me there. So it's really fun. I mean, I would love to introduce myself to your clients as somebody who's fun and available. I'm really open to meeting your people and giving them great coffee.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. I mean, this is fundamental. I mean, it's coffee is a necessary drug that we all need at some point. And and it's the quality too. I mean, it's like the quality too. I'm just super glad that you were here. So listen, if you're an entrepreneur and you were inspired by this and you'd like to be a guest here on my show, and although this show was actually quite tame for some of my other episodes, we were tame. I mean, this is pretty tame to some other stuff, but that's okay though. If you'd like to be a guest, let's get naked at nakedtaxtalk.com. So shoot me an email. Let's get naked at naked. Exact. By the way, the world should know that Seth and I used to work out. He used to take me to the gym in Bisbee, and we'd be workout buddies together. And he taught me all about the triceps, and we had a great time. And he also taught me about the methodology of working, like having certain amount of foods for so long. I think it was like 6 weeks or something like that, and then you would redo something else. Yeah, like a whole technique that you were teaching me. I thus have forgotten.
I'm a huge foodie.
Yeah, he is. And of course he understands the concept, more calories in, one must work. So it makes perfect sense. What are you doing, by the way, to work out? Are you working out at home? Are you having to utilize some stuff there? What's up with that?
Well, I brought my gym shorts home, and of course Bisbee is all mountains, it's all hills. And so it's easy to go out and run uphill. So my favorite thing is running uphill. I'm just really into running. I love that. Aerobics, there's nothing better than when you're eating calories, every calorie you eat has to be converted to carbon dioxide. So, you're running. Running is the most amazing thing that you can do for your health, for your life, and for your waistline, because, calories are long carbon chains. And so you're never going to just melt those fat inches away without, you actually have to exhale carbon dioxide. You're going to run to keep yourself trim. So that's my favorite thing. I just love
that's actually a really great tip from a coffee expert. And just the tip.
Yes.
So listen, so we've been on this show for an hour and 20. We have now broken.
Oh my God.
So this has been great. I appreciate and we just a little bit of so I've had a great time. I loved promoting you. I loved promoting my other guest before, that was Lois Coffee. By the way, that was her name. That's her name, Lois Coffee. Yes. And she's a coach as well. So here's the dealio, Milios. I'm going to be tomorrow. I have my Aunt Sandy is going to be my guest here on the show. So it'll be the first time I have a relative that's going to be here live with us, and we'll see how that goes down. And I'm super excited as having her as a guest. And again, if you're interested in being a guest of mine, let's get naked at nakedtaxtalk.com. And this is the one platform, by the way, that people actually get to pick my brain if they want to for tax stuff. It's the one time I give it away for free. So just for those of you that are listening out there, think of a question you might have. Seth, yes. Word of wisdom for as we close out the show, because it is now almost 7:00. I'm definitely wired on my coffee.
Yes.
What is your last parting words of wisdom as it relates to coffee?
Okay. Coffee's a catalyst. It's a fuel. It's a food. It is, without you, coffee is nothing. So my parting words is fuel your creativity. There's nothing more exciting to me than the challenges we face right now with the world flipped upside down, and a good cup of coffee. You're going to produce the most amazing results possible when you apply yourself creatively. That's it.
I love it. It really is. And it really is a catalyst. It really allows for some of us to tune in, zoom in, and really be right in par with what we need to do. And sometimes we got to burn the midnight oil, especially when you're a CEO. It comes in handy. So that's the fantastic thing. All right. So I'm going to close this up. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for my viewers. Let's get naked at nakedtaxtalk.com. If you're watching this on YouTube, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and the alert button as well. And if you're watching this on my Facebook page, Naked Tax Talk, make sure you hit the like button, the follow button. And also, I do have an ask, by the way. I have an ask that people who are watching this, that you guys promote my page for me. Leave me a review of the show itself if you really enjoyed it, because this is what the virus has done for us. It's allowed us to focus on the things that we want to focus on as business owners. Seth, before you go, I got to share something with you real fast.
Work from home.
This is my magic book. It's my magic book. And what it is it's magic, and it's like a fortune teller. So what you do is you doodle, and your brain it just tunes into a higher power, and you find yourself drawing things before pandemics are happening. So in January, I drew this. So that's me in the purple box somewhere. Right there. That's me, the purple box. Notice I'm in front of a screen, and those are all the people I'm giving webinars to.
Yes.
So this is what's happening in our lives. All right. So anyways, you want to get naked? Let's get naked. NakedTaxTalk.com. I already said all the promotion stuff. Thank you, Seth.
Thank you for the invitation to come. I'm so grateful for this time together.
I love it. I think it's fantastic. And you inspired me. That's the thing. Like, you inspired me when you were sitting there live on your own Facebook page, and you were like, call in, come on, someone give me a call. I loved it. Out of curiosity, did anybody call after I called you?
Oh, I've had like 3 or 4 calls a day.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
It's fun. It's fun. I have a very small community. I just want to be inspirational to people who maybe are, for the first time in their lives, they're faced with some unusual challenges, And in case they're feeling a little bit out of sorts, I want to remind them that you have this. You've got this. You got this. You know all the things. You know how to make this fun for everyone in your life.
That's it, plain and simple.
Yep.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, once again, Seth Appel with Old Bisbee Roasters. Go check them out, oldbisbeeroasters.com. Don't forget that if you text today to 29071, you're going to get an amazing offer.
Yep.
This is silly because I have actually rarely do I do this type of stuff, and I actually enjoy it. So it's great. With that in mind, we're going to sign off. Seth, it takes a few seconds to sign us off, and I like to just make up like little dance moves and do as we sign off. So
I'll tell you what, I'm ready to do the pee-pee dance. I am so. I gotta go.
You're like,
I gotta.